All right, so this is one way you can start. If you just have some actions and things or some tasks that you know you want to get out of your head and capture it here, go for it, enter them here. If this is your first video, go ahead, start with that step. Nothing wrong with that. Just to offload and do a brain dump of everything that's rolling around your head. Then what you'll want to do is go back and revisit our pillars and areas video, because then you can start to link your pull in this. So you can then start to link your actions by you can unhide this, but for actions you can then start to fill in of, hey, I want to pull that in and go from there. You can also go to pillars and just do the actions and then link everything up the system from there, and then go back and kind of figure out what your focus areas are. But really, the best way to do it is to just start with the pillars and areas video, and then go through your dreams and themes, and then your goals and milestones. We've covered projects and habits in 2 separate videos prior to this one. And so I recommend going back and revisiting that if you need to. And then it's at the goals level that you get to start kind of seeing things broken down by the different, all the personal, all the home and family stuff, and all of that. So this is our actions and tasks. This is the stuff that um, you've got the alignment section, which is really that the pillars, the dreams that are the more tangible aspects of that, but still kind of touchy-feely. And then you've got the goals and milestones that are like, okay, here's what we're doing. Projects and habits and actions and tasks that we execute on our daily, weekly, monthly basis. That is what's going to propel us to reaching our goals. So with that said, we've got, if you've gone through all of these as you did, I do recommend just take them one at a time, or you can go all at once and you can revisit. This is now your system. You've duplicated it into your own Notion. You can do with it what you want. But once you've got your tasks, yours will be more populated with tasks than this is. This is just because I've been very quickly kind of creating things on the fly. But if you don't have a lot of tasks here, best option is to go, look at, okay, what are the projects that I've selected to focus on in this. So I don't really have a lot of other projects, but you can do that. And so based on what's the focus is that you've got, I'm checking focus habits. Yep. You will be able to know what actions, because every project, in order to support a goal, must have a next action. So if we're seeing zeros over here, I'm like, oh, this is these are things we need to do. So you would have a project, and so for each project you just brainstorm the different actions to do. Most of us are familiar with project management and how the system works, but I'll just to where if you're just like, hey, I've got this project I want, create page on my yeah. So the reason I'm making this a project as opposed, this could also be a task. Actually, let's do that. I'm going to make it a task so you can see, because with this you have sub items. You can do the same thing here. So if I am doing here we go. Here, we'll do this. Do it this way. So project is launch There we go. Launch GA4 measurement workshop for coaches. And then I could take this and say I need to create the sales page. Lessons. Promote. Yeah. List. So I've now added, 3 tasks real quick on the fly. Maybe I didn't add. Oh, no, it added that. So I need to, yeah, because if you're doing it, may be easier to do it this way. Because if you're adding it here, it's looking for things that already exist. So this is just something to be aware of versus it's create sales page copy. Put critical on the calendar. So you'll just, can you do that? And so you'll see that it's adding it here, and then, or you could just create it from here where it is, all of these are showing up as individual things underneath the launch GA4 workshop for coaches. And I could be also launch sales page. And in that instance, it actually would be, I'm gonna rename this real quick. Right, sales page copy. So if I want this to actually be underneath it, I can just drag it or open that up. Sorry, you have to open that up and then you just move it. And now it's a sub item of I have to write sales page copy, get graphics for the sales page. And you just kind of go through all the steps, yeah. Right, yeah. Shop emails. And so this would then be interest to the, and then you just kind of go there, and then you get to just add in email sequences. All right. Else? And then there. So you've got, different sequences of things that are all like, hey, I have to write emails for the workshop. Okay, I can break that down into different subtasks. So we'll just do all these. So right now, and again, this will pull in things of like, hey, no link. This tells you that you've missed a link step up here. Not a big deal. I'll show you what to do about that here in a second. So with these, you also can have the same dependencies because it's not just the tasks, but there's like an order to this. So I can't really do anything. I'm actually blocking over here. So I can't really do anything for sales copy to without writing the copy. So it is launch. It's blocking that. It's blocking my sales sequences. It's blocking that. So I can't do that. Copy. Such sales page copy is blocking no, that is, sorry. It's also blocking my graphics. There we go. Because you want to make sure your graphics kind of tie in. And you can see it's also kind of populating some loose deadlines here based on, okay, well, I have to do this first. And so it's kind of actually creating your plan for you. Amazing. And you can, of course, adjust these dates. It's not a big deal. That is, so I need to put the dates on the calendar before I can write the sales copy, because I need to have my dates on the calendar so I have everything planned out so I can tell people when the thing is. And you can kind of see how all these dependencies can flow. So you can make kind of one decision a day or even keep going, which is why I have some of the daily views set up the way I do, where you can look at today's task, tomorrow, this week. So you can kind of work ahead if you need to. So that's there. So that is, oh, no, did not want to do that. So onboarding, sales copy, because I got to write sales copy before I can do that. And so you can kind of see, oh, no, it is not blocking that. So that's where you blocked by means that I can't get it done to this. So you have to pay attention to which one you're in. Sales copy. And then that's not going to be done until send is done. Pre-launch, launch. And onboarding. Boom. So essentially, I can't check this off until all of these things are done. And then I can't check this off until all of these things are done. So when I go over to my list of things to do, I have a very clear and easy thing to do. Of okay, I know this is tied to this critical dates on the calendar. I don't have it tied to a goal here, but you'll have it tied to a goal. Or if you're like, hey, why is this something I really need to do, but it's not showing here? And what's weird is sometimes it'll back dates up. So effectively it's okay, today I'm putting the dates on the calendar, and then it will adjust everything else out. So I can't do that. So there you go. And so that then becomes there. So we've got things that are actionable. So I can say, okay, I put the dates on the calendar. I sent the interest email, boom. And so once I mark this as done, I'm done for the day. Or I can move forward and it will show me, okay, now this has become, actionable. And sometimes you have to refresh it. It'll take a little bit for it to show what the next thing is. So if I did, okay, I have my dates done, you'll see that now, okay, I can go full focus into writing sales copy. And then once sales copy is done, everything else unlocks. And so that's where you can really get what's the one thing I need to be doing right now? That's where that comes into play. And that's one of the things that I love about Notion. And it does take a little bit of time to think about to set up. But once you set it up for a project, you've set it up for a project. It's super easy. So, and again, we have the same 4 views where we've got things broken down. We're not going to see stuff here because I haven't been checking my boxes, which brings me to, I'm going to give kind of a wrap-up video of the order and workflow of this. And I do touch specifically on the maintenance area in its own video. But the next week is just going to be kind of wrapping it all up, bringing it together, and then from there, it's just going to be you actually using the system. And we will be doing this if you're in the membership. We're going to have, monthly get-togethers where we're using the system together. We're putting things in. If you have questions or like, hey, this is missing or this didn't work, as always, you can also throw those in the Facebook group outside of those sessions. That's what that group's there. It's to support the tools that you've been provided with. But again, getting your actions there. We did touch on action templates, so I actually want to get that going too. So if there's something that you do that's like a standard operating procedure, I actually have this in my own environment where we have monthly SEO performance reporting and analysis that we do for our one-on-one clients. And so I have things set up to where the task is generated. So we'll just start with we'll just start with a new template. So you can create a new template. So let's say SEO SOP. Usually I have it something like, monthly SEO reporting for client X. And then I have all of this set up to where this needs to be done, immediately that day, or it's one thing. So usually it's like, hey, as soon as I get here, I haven't even walked through one of these. So we'll just do this as I set this up because this will be good. So with the priority, when it comes to tasks, you have immediate, like, I have to get this done as soon as I get going. Or basically it's burning down. Things are literally burning down. We need this. Scheduled would be like, I've got meetings. Notion does have a calendar that lets you, that pulls in your schedule and integrates. I'm still working out how it fits in well with the system that I built. But that's the thing is, like, once you've got this good core system, you can kind of figure out, okay, this tool's out. Does it play well with it? Do I want to use it? Right now, Notion Calendar really just integrates well with Google Calendar. I am in a Google Microsoft mesh due to work. Ideally, I would love to just be in Google. Not always the reality. But anyway, you can use Schedule. So I could always do things through just Notion Calendar by itself, not necessarily tied to Google. Quick is anything that I know I can get done in 5 minutes. Usually that could be something like I do study Japanese using Duolingo. I can get something done in that in about 5 minutes and keep my streak going. If you know, you know. And then the one thing I see this can be like in this area, like this is the one thing I need to get done today in my personal. This is the one thing I need to get done in my work or business or whatever. Or it could just literally be the one thing. This is where in the daily journal video, if you go watch that, there's a concept called win the day. So you could pull your win the day. It's the one thing that, like, hey, if everything else goes to hell in a handbasket today, I can call it a win if I get this one thing done. And so that's kind of where that can come into. And then you've got, okay, here are top 3 things I need once I get my one thing knocked out of the way, things I need to do, errands, things that you might do. And then reminders would be things like, oh, you need to go renew your license plate. Things like that will show up. That's not necessarily like, it does require an action, but even that action might be a, remind me to follow up with person I delegated a task to or something like that. I don't really use reminder or errand actually all that much, mainly because I don't do the errand running in my family. Blessedly, my husband does that. But that would be, sometimes I might take on that. So it's like, oh, I need to go run the errand. So that way, while I'm out and about, I can always pull it up of like, hey, I'm out of the house. What else needs to be done while I'm away? Boom, and I can do that. So it lets that help. So that's the way the priorities work within the actions. And so you can have due date. So when you're creating a task template, You can have the date that is duplicated. I like the date. I'm not so much a stickler for the time. I don't need to know that it was created at 12:01 a.m. But these are dynamic. So anything in blue is dynamic. So whenever I say, hey, this will be duplicated, I can do that. And so it'll just assign the due date of when it needs to be. And then when I set up the recurring piece of it, and I'll kind of go through a mock one to show you guys how I set up a recurring client task, because I think that's important. So if you've got a one-on-one meeting, it could work for this as well. It's the same basic concept. I would indicate one, that this is a recurring, so I can kind of differentiate that out from other tasks. If it's got a specific deadline, there's not, unfortunately, a way to do, plus 3 days, plus 4 days, or whatever. I wish there was. One day, Notion, one day. But since everything runs off the due date, you'll be fine. This is where, if there's like subtasks, normally this is what your view will look like with it. It won't have everything. And because we don't have a pillar, it's not planned. So I would go ahead and tie this in. So since this is a business, this, because it's a client thing, falls under operations and fulfillment. And then I might have a dream, try to be like, hey, I delight my clients with everything. I would tie it to that. Goal is maybe how many clients I have. To do so, that's how it would relate there. Project, I usually tend to have each client as its own project. So I would have client X, and then underneath that would be any sub project work that I do for them. So if it's, we're setting up, creating an SEO strategy, well, there's other pieces of it that go to that. So it'd be, client as the project, and then each sub project would be SEO strategy, measurement strategy, build measurement dashboard, that sort of thing. And so that's how these play into my client work and how that plays in. So I'll be deleting all this anyway, so I'm just going to tie it to something. So that way you can kind of see this is where it's coming from. This makes absolutely no sense with what I'm linking it to, but you can go ahead and have all these things pre-filled out, because the idea behind a template is that each time this task gets created, all this information's already going to be there. It's already going to be all linked, so you have less to maintain. And then you can, I actually have a checklist where it's, a monthly reporting checklist. Item 1, link to resource. So like if I have a separate spreadsheet or something, like I write a detailed step-by-step instruction that my husband will then, who does most of the monthly reporting stuff that I've already got the process and stuff documented for, he'll come through and go boop, boop, boop. And I remember the first time he said, he's like, you literally set it up to, or all I have to do is like this thing, this thing, this thing, and this thing, and then it's done. And I go, yes, templates are beautiful. That's why I do this. But knowing what you need to templatize is also important. But essentially what is, and then every time this gets duplicated, the same checklist will show up. All the same procedures will show up. And it's a way that you can kind of create your recipes, have standards. And so it's when these recipes are supposed to come up, in the case of like monthly reporting, I would recommend even doing this for your business of, once a month, I am looking at, what does my Google Analytics say? What do my social platforms say, and all of that, just to get in the habit of looking at it. You could even record it or add in, or even create your own extra databases for this. That's beyond the scope of this, because the whole purpose of this is to give you the system I use and to teach you how to leverage it in a way that's going to work and improve your business. And this one thing right here, the recurring templates, is totally game changing because you can set it up once. If you have SOPs hanging out in Google Docs somewhere, and that stands for standard operating procedure or process that you've got, grab it, copy it into a template for actions, and then just set that baby on repeat. And then it shows up when you need it. You have all the resources right there to get it done, all the steps you need to follow. So when on days, like, I will admit, some days I just have low brain power, and it's like, all right, I have, like, checklists are the lowest form of automation because I already have my steps, I already have my system. It's just whoop right there. And you can even do this where it is a non-recurring template. So I don't have, oh, helps if I'm looking in the right template section. Where we've got this standard SOP that I created, I don't have to make this automatic. I can, but I can also leave it there to where, oh, I've got, I took in a new client. Well, now I have to set up all their stuff for onboarding. Boom, you can just have a client onboarding task that when that happens, you click to have it done. And there's some automation within Notion, but they kind of paywalled a lot of it, and not even on just the paid tier. Because I'm on, like, the individual paid tier. If you're on business, you might want to look into getting on the business tier, because that's going to enable a lot more automation and management for your whole system. But as you can see, even with moving some of those tasks to done, you can also see some of the little progress that starts to happen with the project to have reporting. Sorry, little deviation there. But that is how you can use the actions and tasks. This should be your last step in the setup process, or next to last step in the setup process, because the very last step will be going through the maintenance thing, just to make sure everything's aligned, everything's cleaned up, everything's where it needs to be. And then I will kind of give you what your day-to-day is going to be like in the next video. So I will wrap everything up in the next video. We'll cover the maintenance. Again, just to make sure you've got it, I also have a separate video, but that way you can kind of see it in the flow of what we've been creating here together. See you in the next video.